Good morning, everyone. It is In the Cup, brought to you by drroto.com. I am Johnny Danger. With me, of course, Mr. Adam White. Sir, it is the Players' Championship week. It starts tomorrow. We're excited about it. We got Scheffler at like 1,400. We got my favorite guy in the field at 6,700, Adam. We're going to connect the dots in between those guys for everybody. Tell us about the Players' Championship.
Well, we are at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach. It's kind of the PGA Tour's signature event. They're trying to make it a major. It's still not a major, but love the venue. Some really cool strategy stuff that we'll get into as far as what players are supposed to play well. The course is not super long. It's also not super short. It's kind of a moderate length course. 4 par 5s, 4 par 3s, varying lengths on the par 3s. It's also got the famous 17th hole island green. You will see lots of balls getting wet. It also looks like, just a quick note, that the greens are quite firm down there. There's like a chance of a storm coming through tomorrow. But outside of that, I think it's going to be crispy. The greens are going to be fiery. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a Pete Dye design, so it's very much about angles. You've got a lot of dog legs. Nothing's very straightforward where you can kind of see a straight line from the tee to the green. So you've got some players that will be in play, like your Aaron Rise and your plotters that can kind of go from A to B. Driving is still going to be very important, but not like it would be maybe at a Bay Hill or at a Torrey Pines. We got water in play on 16 out of 18 holes. You will see more balls getting wet this week than you will any other week on the PGA Tour, which I think is kind of fun. But overall, it does play at about 7,350 yards. Last 5 events, you've had Rory winning it last year in a playoff over JJ Spawn at 12 under. Scotty the last 2 years before that at 20 and 17. Cam Smith at 13, and then JT at 14 in the last 5 years. I expect the winning score to be somewhere in that range like we saw last week, right around 15 under, based on what we're seeing with the forecast, the way the course is playing. But we got a really good field here. They can't call it the best field in the world anymore because the LIV guys are not here. So there's no Bryson, there's no Rahm, there's no Patrick Reed, but you do have a fantastic field. Hopefully we have the top 2 players in the world. We'll see about Rory with some injury news. Should know something by today, but players will hit less greens in regulation. The greens are fairly small, undulating, and approach play is going to be critical. So overall, pretty fired up about the week. It's definitely coming to a crescendo in April. We're only 4 weeks away from the Masters, so yeah, just ready to get after it, man.
Absolutely love it, man. If we break up a little bit today, I apologize. And I'm hosting this studio from a small Airbnb in Chicago, and who knows what will happen with this internet. I love what you did to your background, sir. I like that. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to use the chalkboard.
You did a great job. You did a wonderful job. Let's talk about last week a little bit. What a disappointment for DFS and bettors. DFS, especially with just a couple minutes before lock, they announced that Jake Knapp was not going to play. Rory, who was in the top 12, top 15 withdrawals after the second day. In our home contest, 21 entries that were in it, only 4 didn't have one of those 2 guys. It was brutal.
Yeah, that was rough, man. I think I told you.
Of course, you and I had both of them.
Yeah, just knowing that you're drawing dead by the time Thursday morning kicks off, you're like, man. And I had just swapped to Knapp, so I don't want to go too much into last week. I'm kind of like chalking it up as a loss, and we're moving on. We're a forward-thinking show, right? But I cannot deny how incredibly frustrating that was. You can survive without Knapp because a lot we have 30-40% of the people were on Knapp last week, but you couldn't survive with Knapp and Rory. Rory was doing what he does, gaining strokes off the tee, looking like he was primed to make a little charge, get into position on moving day, and just died. Back spasms. So I guess he worked out, went to the range, couldn't quite get the warm up in that he wanted to. Back was bugging him, and out he goes. So it will be interesting, I think. To Scotty or not to Scotty, I think most people are going to avoid him just with his current form. But the question is going to be to Rory or not to Rory, assuming he's not withdrawing before the tournament starts. So, yeah, it adds a little different flavor to it, but that was very frustrating last week.
It sure was. But let's scratch it let's get out of there and let's move on to this week. Let's bring up our little DraftKings here. Let's see. There we go. Got it up there. Oh, I gotta get rid of our banner. One of these days we'll figure out all these new things that I'm trying to do, right?
Absolutely.
There we go. All right, we got the field up here, buddy. We got $14,200. Scotty Scheffler again. If he doesn't compete for a top 3 in every event going forward, at what point are you ready to start seeing that 14,000 come down?
I mean, I would hope by the Masters. You're not going to have the field strength between now and then for him to drop any lower than he is, but I would think by the Masters he'll be in the 13,000 range, somewhere in there, unless he goes out and wins this week. But yeah, I don't see, just talking about to Scotty or not to Scotty, we kind of have to touch on it, right?
Yep.
His approach play has been pretty rough the last couple of events. He's actually lost strokes on approach back-to-back weeks for the first time in, I don't know, several years. Because this course is so heavy on precise approach play, I'm not going to be on him at his price. With that said, if we start seeing ownership drop, and we know everyone's going to start for the most part in the 9K range, because you talk about Rory, there's some risk there. You might be injured. You might be, withdrawing mid-tournament, even if he does start it. And then you got Tommy, who played terrible last week. Decent history here, but you can make a really strong argument against those top 3 guys based on price and volatility. So I think a lot of guys are going to start at, the 9K range with a couple of guys we'll talk about. That being said, then that means that Scotty and some lower price guys makes a really different lineup than most players are going to have in tournaments. And we got a lot of milli makers. We got some big payouts up top this week. So differentiation is the name of the game. I think this week more than any, you want to zig a little bit more than the others do when they zag. So I don't know, Scotty, I might talk myself into him by the end of the week. He's the best player in the world for a reason.
Sure. Well, I've got his last few tournaments up on the screen here, Adam, and there's a disturbing trend we can see on round 1 over the last several weeks. I mean, if you look at the rest of his rounds, he shaves 2 or 3 strokes off round 1, and he probably wins 4 out of the last 5.
He very well could. He just looked visibly frustrated last week. I know the greens were a little baked out. A lot of the guys were complaining they were dead, whatever. I say quit your bitch and go out and play. I mean, Akshay and Berger finished 15 under, so they managed it just fine. But Scotty, like I said, he did lose. He lost strokes on approach last week. His driver hasn't been the weapon it normally is. To pay that kind of price, I just need to see a little more out of it. I'm with you. Not liking the trends here.
However, if you look at last week, round 1 was his best round of the week.
So he has flipped that at least. I mean, we talked about it pre-week last, the Bay Hill. I thought he was a great play heading into the week. I always expect him to right the ship, but he kind of continued his mediocre to poor play, and he did cost me several multiplayer parlays there. I had him on top 10s in those, but I'm willing to forgive and forget if the ownership is right.
Well, let's take a look at Rory real quick. We were mentioning in the pre-show, Adam, that you don't really see questionable tags in DFS golf like you do in football, in baseball, in basketball. Let's talk about Rory. Are you worried about him? Does his ownership in your lineups tank because of the withdrawal last week?
I want to see what comes today. I'm sure he's going to say yay or nay, I'm playing or not. If he is playing, I expect him to go out and compete at his normal level. So I'm fine with playing him, assuming he's not withdrawing. So yeah, not overly concerned. Back spasm, just something that can come and go pretty quick. He just tweaked it working out in the morning before his Saturday round. So yeah, I'm willing to take the ownership discount there on the defending champion, who, like we talked about, he's shown some different approach skills this year. His short game's been phenomenal. Putting has been really good since the beginning of last year. Yeah, I'm willing to still consider Rory up top, although most people are going to start with that 9K range like we discussed.
For sure. Well, let's take a look real quick over at dfshero.com and just see kind of what their preliminary ownership is. We'll slide over and find that. I should put this on simple so I could find it faster. There it is. Hero ownership. So they've got Scotty up there close to 24%. They've got Rory at 18. They've got Tommy and Colin sitting up there 15, 20. Siwoo, who of course loves this style of course and has been on a tear at 21. I'm not really surprised by any of these. Not at all, really, up here. Hideki and Xander a little lower makes a lot of sense to me. So what do you feel about the rest of these top end guys? And then we'll start talking about where to start with value.
Well, we know who's going to be popular, right? We've got Siwoo, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. Those are the three guys in the 9K range that I think are going to be extremely popular. So that does make a guy like Hideki Matsuyama or Chris Gotterup enticing. Chris Gotterup has shown he can thrive on a variety of different golf courses. He won at Sony, which is a completely different test than the Waste Management at TPC Scottsdale. So I think Gotterup, I'm not going to say he's my favorite, like not for a cash game. He's not my favorite play, but he played great last week for 3 rounds, kind of fell apart on Sunday. Understandable at that course. So Gotterup's a guy, he can just kind of mash his long iron out there off the tee, keep it low. He also works trajectories quite a bit with his driver. It's his first time here, I believe, so it's a little bit risky, but I still, man, I would be just fine going to Gotterup, assuming you know where the ownership's going in this range. And we're talking mostly about
right now. It looks like he might be under 10% owned.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really talk yourself off of either Morikawa, Siwoo Kim, or Russell Henley, or 2 of those guys. You could even get a little spicy and go all 3 to start a cash lineup, but then you're looking at close to 70-75% ownership out of those 3 guys. You just can't win a GPP like that. Chalk doesn't hit in golf like it does in football. So
I started our contest every week, and when you do that on DraftKings, it prompts you to make a lineup, and I always just slap one in. Just gut feelings. I don't read about the course. I don't even look at the course name. I don't even know what week we're in. I just start the contest and I just pick some players, right? And I started with Siwoo and I started with Gotterup. It's probably, I mean, maybe Gotterup's not as popular. I think Siwoo is going to be in a lot of lineups. I think he's going to go over owned from what's projected right now.
I would agree with you. He's had some great form this year, and he's also got great course history. We've talked about him quite a bit in the past as a Pete Dye specialist. He's not a guy that works the ball a ton. He's pretty consistently a left to right player. That'll work just fine here. You do want to be able to work it a little right to left off some tees, but he's managed it before. He won this event as a 21-year-old, and he's had, I believe, 2 top 10s as well since then. So, yeah, you got to love Siwoo this week. He putts these greens really well, which has been what's kind of costing him the last few events. So I expect that to flip. I expect Siwoo to be, heavily owned, and also wouldn't be surprised if he contended.
I like it. I mean, I wish I still had him in our one and done. That's not been good the last 2 weeks. We're going to turn that around this week. I feel it. All right. So you told me pre-show you had a gut feeling about Colin. So, I like him. But we got to save some money. I can play probably 2 of these 9K guys, maybe even 3 because of the people I like down below. But where are you at in this middle range? We'll start with Matty Fitz, Bobby Mack. Aberg had a pretty good run recently. Who do you like down here? You still mad at Shane Lowry?
I mean, no, I'm Shane's the guy that I'm coming around on this week.
Okay.
Ludwig's going to be popular. He played phenomenal last week. Really, outside of his first round, I believe at Pebble, Ludwig's played really, really well for quite a while. And his skill set, having the higher approach play, his first time here, he finished 8th. Missed the cut last year. Not really concerned about that. If you look at the finishes, the history of players' performance here, there are so many volatile, like top 10, miscut, 16th. Like, it doesn't really matter if a guy has a spotty history, because pretty much everyone does. Like, look at Matty Fitz. We'll start there. Miscut, 5th, 2 miscuts, then 9th in his last 5. It's just kind of what you expect here. Where I'm going in this range, though, I got a couple guys highlighted. You are going to see a ton of ownership on Cam Young, ton of ownership on Ludwig. So the pivots that I like, I already mentioned Shane Lowry at 86. Absolutely love that. He's kind of my main guy. And then Cantlay, if you want that, I look at Cantlay as sort of Russell Henley light at this course. They're both pretty uninteresting. Like, you don't get excited watching them, but they're probably going to plod their way around and be there on Sunday for a top 25. So Cantlay at 82 is a guy that I like as a pivot. He doesn't give you the winning upside, in my opinion, but it's him and it's Lowry for me as the pivots off of those 2 popular guys.
I like it. Looking at ownership there over at DFS Hero, Just what you said there. Matty Fitt's going to be highly owned. There's going to be a lot of Ludwig, but there's a couple of guys right here. Justin Rose, Sam Burns down at the kind of 6-7 range. Even Bobby Mack only at about 8% ownership projection over at DFS Hero.
Did you say 6-7? You do.
I did. I have middle schoolers. What do you want me to do, Adam?
It's just in your psyche. It has infiltrated your psyche. Yeah, you could make an argument for those guys. I just haven't seen it with Burns and Rose, man. They've had some rough weeks this last couple, and then you get Ben Griffin there. He really hasn't shown much form all year. JT just returned from injury, as we talked about last week, before he shot a pair of 79s, then bitched about the greens. Yeah, this is not a course where you go out there and find it. So not loving JT this week either. Bobby Mack's driver's been erratic. There's no reason, in my opinion, to take those risks on guys that haven't shown good form, are coming off a bunch of rust. I think you kind of stick with the guys like Lowry, who missed the cut last week. Understandable after collapsing those last 2 holes and costing me a win and one and done. Costing himself a win, of course, first and foremost. But yeah, that's where I'm going. Not as much of an ownership discount on Lowry as you'll get with the other guys you mentioned, but I'll still take it when he's a third of what Ludwig and Cam Young are probably going to be.
Yeah, we had a great question. Was it last week that talked about ownership? I am not trying to get fancy with my high dollar ownership. I'm just not. When I talk about ownership discount at the top, I'm talking about instead of 30% Scotty, I'd rather have a 20% Morikawa. I'd rather take that discount than looking for like a 2 or 3% owned person up here in the high end. I mean, last week Bhatia won in our contest with only one person picking him. One. So, that was great, but also he was a bargain play last week. So
he was right there pretty close to where he is now in the mid to high sevens. But you're right. I think in golf, think of it this way. When you're elite players that finish top 10 at a very high percentage, when they're playing well, or they have a good course fit or both, they're the best bets you're going to get. When you get down lower into these ranges, you're riding guys that are on hot streaks, have good course history or a good course fit to their game. And you're trying to leverage some ownership discount opportunities down below. But you don't want to get too cute up top. I'm completely with you there.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into the 7,000 range. I'm seeing a lot of ownership kind of middle around that 10 to 12% through this whole range. So it seems like it's going to be a very popular spot. You're going to start with Scotty and maybe an 8K guy, and then a bunch of people in the 7Ks. Or you're going to go totally balanced like I built with the first lineup and load up between the high 7s and low 9s. It's a great range. I think there's a lot of value to be had here. Can you go back to Jake Knapp? I mean, he's still scoring over 100 DraftKings points per round after really heartbreaking us last week. Can you go right back to him?
I don't see why not. He's shown great form. He had a good finish here last year, finishing 12th, only his second time out there. We've talked about it before. He's absolutely leveled up this season because of the ownership discount you're going to get on him relative to where he would have been had he played last week and played reasonably well, relative to the guys like Minwoo, like Akshay and Sepp. Yeah, I'm completely fine going back to Jake Knapp. I think it was just an illness. I expect him to have kicked it by then. He's a very healthy, strapping young lad. So, yeah, I'm back on Knapp.
I mean, look, Knapp this year, you can see it on the screen, sir, was one stroke out of having a top 10 in every single outing this year.
Yeah, if you go back, I love looking at Data Golf. We've talked about that in the past, but Data Golf strokes gained. He is right there with he's behind only significantly Tommy, Rory and Scotty, and then you've got him in the group there with Goddard and Morikawa. This is the past 36 rounds, so he has sustained this for a long time. I'm going to trust that he's going to go right back to playing somewhere around his baseline. So, yeah, back on the Knapp train, man.
No, I'm all about it. I don't know if you can see the lineup I started building for fun, but I put in Siwoo, Colin, Goddard, and Knapp, and we still have over $7,000 for the last 2 guys. I think I can pull this lineup off, and I'm going to play it. We're going to build it. I'm going to play it. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I like it. All right, let's keep going down there. What about Bridgman? Bridgman was the guy I was going back and forth with Knapp last week, and I chose Knapp. It hurt me. But Bridgman also scoring more points per week. than Knapp.
Yeah, Bridgman had an absolute heater going into the Genesis, which he won. Then he had a couple weeks off. I'm impressed by the way he came back last week and finished top 20. He had a really good weekend, played great on Sunday, which those were no easy pins out there. I'm seeing him, at least as far as data golf is concerned, his projection is down below 10%, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 7 guys in this range that are above 10%. I would take that slight discount. I think because he is at the top of this range, guys are going to go, oh, actually, I just won. Let's go to him. Minwoo, he's down there. Let's go to him. I love Bridgman. I love McNeely. This course is so different. You can have one bad swing, which you hook or shank into the water, and then you're making double. That can totally shift the way your round is going. So I kind of like leaning into the volatility and going for some of these lower owned guys who have shown great form. So while he's not the known quantity that Akshay or some of these guys we've mentioned are, Bridgman's already shown he can do it in a great field like this. So why the heck not? You're going to see.
Looking over here back at DFS Hero, looking at their ownership, I mean, you've got Knapp and you've got Bhatia going to be hovering around 15%, but you can go to Bridgman at 8% owned. They score very similarly in the projections and the simulations, and you can take half the ownership off Knapp and Bhatia.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The other guy I like that can really get hot with the putter. He's got a decent history here. He's sitting there at 7,600 along with Sepp Straka and Jake Knapp. We know we're going to be popular. I like the M&M boy, Mr. Mav McNeely this week. I'm tempted to even take him for one and done. He's shown some consistent form this year. He's kind of been just missing one round per week. He's had one bad round per week in most of his performances. So I'm kind of expecting him. Outside of one missed cut, he's been 24th, 10th, 13th, 29th, 13th. Missed cut at the Genesis. That's a long golf course. Not really suited for him. Other than that, he's consistently gaining across the board. Tee to green. He kind of had a quiet 13th place finish last week. Also has decent history here. He had a, 9th place finish a couple years ago. Yeah, so I like Mav, man.
Mav at 76. Can you guess the of the 5 weeks that we have been doing this show, which week I put Mav McNeely in my lineup?
Probably at Genesis where he missed the cut.
Correct, sir. Yes, correct.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, Mav's my pivot. We can talk all day. There's a lot of good plays. I can't talk you off of, outside of ownership and volatility for this course, I can't talk you off of Minwoo. He played well here a couple years ago. I think he made like double or triple on 18. I had him in my lineup and it cost me a victory, but whatever. So he's shown he can play well here before. He can club down off the tee with a long iron. He's playing a mini driver, which I love as well. So can't really talk you out of those guys. But popularity and volatility of the golf course are the reasons why I would say lean into golf being a very variable game and this being a very volatile course. You got some seasoned vets here, former champs in the mid range. You got Ricky at 74. You got Adam Scott at 73. I would take the discount on them over the more expensive guys we talked about, like Straka, Knapp, Akshay.
Yeah,
this is the range of differentiating him.
I'm a big fan. He hosts, competitions close to us, but Mr. Ricky Fowler has had a really good year so far. Is he keeping it up here at the championship?
Yeah, I think it's a course that really suits him. He's been good at bogey avoidance, which hasn't always been his forte. I think he's becoming wiser in his older years. Typically has a good short game. That hasn't been the case necessarily in his last few events. Last week he was fine at API, but lost strokes around the greens the 4 weeks previous. But he's very, very good tee to green, at least from a ball striking standpoint. And his putter has been fantastic. 4 straight weeks he's gained around a stroke or more on the field, on the greens. So yeah, Ricky I love. And then Adam Scott, if you want a guy who's great as far as total driving statistics, he's just been sort of consistent, spiked at Riv. I believe he finished T2 at Riv at the Genesis. I know he didn't have a great week last week. I mean, he finished T11, which is pretty darn good for what his price was. But man, I could see him winning this week. I could see Adam Scott at 45 winning his second Players Championship.
I mean, that's the kind of call we need here at drroto.com, sir. I like this. I'm gonna circle it. I'm gonna star it. I did that to Batia last week while we were talking, and then didn't put him in my lineup. So I'm gonna try to not make that mistake this week. I'm gonna click the button right now. Draft.
I will say this tends to be our pattern.
Yep.
We will talk about and talk up whoever ends up winning the tournament, and then somehow we'll both talk ourselves out of playing them or betting them as an outright. This is the week, man. My fellow Adam, we're gonna do it. Adam Scott's gonna make us look brilliant. Yeah, he's gonna be there at the end, man. I mean, unless he blows up on the putting green, on the putting greens, I think he's gonna be there at the end. So Scotty's the dude that's anchoring all my lineups.
What else you got at the bottom of the 7K range? You've got your guy Penge, who you made an absolute amazing first-round leader call on earlier this year. Aaron Rye, who you like frequently. We got Coco, who just can't get himself out of the bottom of the salary counts. You got Thigala down there at 7,000. You got our boy Keith Mitchell, who hurt our feelings at 7,000 flat. Any of these guys making the lineup?
Yeah, especially if there's multiple lineups. I think Coco is a great cash game play. He's got very good course history here, sitting there at 71. So he putted awful, absolutely awful last week, which he tends to do. He tends to do that. But he's putted well here in the past. He's got a 6th place finish last year, 13th the year before, a missed cut, then a 26th and a 7th. His ball striking came back to life last week. I expect him to putt well enough on the greens. So Coco at 71 is going to be like a cash game staple for me, along with Adam Scott. A sneaky guy we've kind of mentioned. Maybe he's not as sneaky as I hoped he would be, but we've mentioned him in the last couple of weeks at courses that didn't suit him as well. Alex Noren has been grinding his big ass off in the last few weeks. He's a very fit guy.
There, sir.
Huh?
You struggled there for a minute.
Well, I wanted to try and be PC about it, but he's sculpted. He works out a lot. He's staying in great shape for being in his 40s. He's almost the exact same age as me, so maybe that's why I have a soft spot for him.
Okay.
But I think he's the type of player you want at this golf course. Aaron Rye, I'm not going to say he's dead to me. He's shown very little on Sundays on these tougher pins. That being said, he's a good bet to make the cut. But
I don't know if you can see it over there, but DFS Hero has him starred as a value play. They like him.
You're talking about Rye?
Yep.
Yeah. I understand why. There's another guy down here that's probably not going to make my main lineup, but another one who's flashed, who we talked about the same week Bridgman won, where we kept saying, why is this dude under 7K? He's been playing phenomenal golf. He's shown that he can compete and contend with the best in the world. He drinks a little bit. He puts a little bit of water in his mouth before he putts on the greens. You know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't know who would or why would you do that.
There is actually some brain science behind it, but Rio Hisetsune.
Okay. Yeah.
Something about putting a little bit of cold water in your mouth, holding it in your mouth, and then what he does is he putts, and then while the putt is rolling towards the hole, he swallows the water. But I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on him this week. I am drinking the Kool-Aid. You think
that if I tried that technique that I could not slice off the tee?
No, I don't think it applies in that way. I think you're kind of ingrained that pattern there, buddy. But no, you've got guys like at the very bottom here. I don't want to play him. Let me make that clear. He's just kind of boring. But Tom Hoge, man, he plays short courses well. He showed up again at Pebble, where he always shows up, T14. In the past here, he has a 3rd place finish last year, 54th. 3rd place finish the year before. Like I said, he's kind of boring, but he's right there at 7K. That's where I'll finish my talks about the 7K range. Sahith is just a little too volatile still for me off the tee. Keith Mitchell, no.
So I got to get a little lower here, okay? My lineup's built. It's on the screen. I got 6,800 left. I got to have somebody down here. So unless you really want to talk about Sam Stevens or Hall or DT, we can get right down to 68 and lower.
Yeah, I do want to mention Seabass. His skill set, kind of like Harry Hall, can work here, keep it in play, make a bunch of putts. Seabass at 7 is somebody I got to mention before we head down. But Harry Hall's in that same vein, man. He's 6,900. He can light it up on the greens. Maybe not the upside that a couple of these guys down below will have. We're not going to Rico Hoey for the record. It is not a Hoey week.
I don't think he has a star. I got to look. Let me see.
Well, that's good. He shouldn't. But you do have an old vet who could plot his way around here. He showed a little bit of form last week at a course that doesn't necessarily suit him at T24 at the API, and that is Mr. Lucas Glover.
All right.
I don't know what your model's saying, but
I mean,
finished third here last year, showing a little form. I don't mind it.
Not great. He's got a 5 in the value score. The average usually is around 7, so he's below average on that. They don't like him a lot. Not really at all. He's in 0.5% of optimal lineups in the 10,000 simulator build. It's not good. It's not good for Lucas Glover.
Yeah, I guess my concern would be around the greens, but he's going to hit so many greens. If you get the putter to cooperate again, he's got that upside at this particular course. And you got guys like Brian Harman pops at some of these shorter courses. He almost won here a couple of years ago, and he's shown a little bit of form recently, particularly at Pebble, more similar to this course as far as what it asks of your game. Not going to ask you to bomb it off the tee. So don't mind him. And then the guy that we've talked about this year, we haven't necessarily pegged him at the right course, but I think Matt McCarty's got some pretty good upside here. It's the type of course that should suit his game. He's not overly long, but he thinks his way around the golf course very well. Finished 20th here in his first appearance, which is impressive. I like Mr. Matt McCall. We got the M&M theme going.
Yeah.
Matt McCarty, Mav McNeely.
That didn't work for me so much.
It did not.
Probably good. I'm gonna call it right here at the beginning of the show. I told you we had
down to 65.
Meisner, yeah. We could go Eminem again. I'm not going to do that. Anyways, hey, at the beginning of the show, I said we had 1,400 Scotty, and I said I had a 6,700 favorite play of the week for me, and I'm going right back to Mr. Pearson Coody. He's just got too much scoring ability to be at $6,700.
Yeah, you could be right. Although he burned me last week. He was my one miscut to go with all of the WDs. I had 3 of those in my 2 lineups. Somehow picked all the right guys. But, yeah, I can't fault you for it. He's very cheap. He does score. Not for me this week. Not the skill set I'm looking for down here in this range. But I can see the thinking behind it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going back to Putzgeitzer. You really hurt me last week with that suggestion. We've done really good on our 100-to-1 guys this year. Really good. And that maybe was the first miss we've given out.
That was a swing and a miss. Now, in general, that dude's going to be volatile. Like, unless you got a course where you can just bomb sprayed everywhere, it's going to be volatile. There's a guy at 65 that I think offers you winning upside. He won twice last year. He's got good course history here as well, finishing 20th last year, 27th a couple of years before.
Hey, Adam, not to interrupt you, but our good friend, other Coach White, just said, "Get at it, boys."
Oh, we're getting at it, Coach White. We're getting at it. My fellow A. White.
That's right.
One day again, maybe you'll be between 2 whites, but we're talking Foxy, man. We're talking Foxy.
Yep.
His driving accuracy is his biggest bugaboo. Didn't expect to use that word today. But at this course, he'll be clubbing down quite a bit. He's been showing good trends off the tee recently, gained half a stroke per round on the field at API in a very good field. A club down course at Pebble, gained over a stroke per round. He has not finished outside the top 25 in his 4 starts this year. And as I mentioned, he won twice last season. Could he beat a field like this? I don't know. He's not going to be scared if he gets in the hunt. I can tell you that much. The dude just works on his farm in New Zealand. He comes out and he crushes on the PGA Tour. I respect the hell out of him. We're going Foxy at 65, man.
All right. I like it. I've circled it. I don't know if I'll put him in over Coody. I'm playing a little chalky this week. It's a little chalky feeling for me, but maybe Adam Scott would be the guy that's not so chalky for me. Maybe that.
If there's any, maybe outside of like the U.S. Open, but if there's any week to go anti-chalk, like the anti-fragile type of approach, this is the week, dude. This is the week. I'm gonna try and talk you out of that high ownership stuff you're talking about.
I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm not gonna listen to you at all this week. Not even a little, sir. All right, let's get back to the bottom of this. Is there anything else below Ryan Fox at 6,500 that we like down here? Smotherman hurt your feelings. Smotherman hurt your feelings.
He did. I don't know what happened to him. I still don't know. But yes, we have a guy who finished top 5 at the Cognizant 2 weeks ago, and then followed up by winning last week at 6,200. Now, he didn't get the notoriety that you had out of Akshay Bhatia, but at the Puerto Rico Open, this guy beat out John Daly Jr. He beat out some other guys. He beat out Blaze Brown last week. Blaze Brown was right there with a chance to win. Granted, those are young dudes, but there were some good guys up there. Ricky Castillo is sitting there at 62. I was very high on him 2 weeks ago. Had him on a double with Minwoo, a double $1 to win, like, I don't know, 1,500 or something like that. For Ricky and Minwoo to win. Ricky Castillo, not Fowler. And he went out and won. He got his side of the bet done. And there's no reason why he can't go out and play well this week. So Ricky Castillo is the guy that I felt like we had to mention, give him a little shout for winning last week. Does not have course history here outside of a miscut last year, but no reason why he couldn't go out there and find it.
Yeah, what I really like about, looking at these stats a little bit and seeing his Farmers Open where he gets off real hot, makes the cut, drops an absolute turd on Saturday, and then comes out and fires 68 on Sunday. One, it's fun to watch. Two, when they're coming out firing like that, the scoring points on DraftKings just goes flying. So sometimes when you got these guys that lose it a little bit and then really lock in and drop a couple of birdies in and an eagle, the scoring just goes way up. So I like guys that can score, especially if we're talking about $6,000 salaries.
Yeah, and if you follow the leaderboards on Sundays early, you'll have those guys that go out before the weather gets kind of nasty, like if it starts blowing in the afternoon. Guys that'll go out and shoot 5, 6, 7 under when the course is more gettable before the leaders go out and get abused in the wind with, the greens getting a little bumpier. But yes, Castillo, he's shown that resilience in the past, and he's one of my favorite plays of the week. If you're going Scotty up top and then Foxy and Castillo down below, make you feel pretty warm and fuzzy inside.
Dude, I can't agree with you more, buddy. I'm in. I love it. All right. We looked at all that. Let's get our little banner back up here. I like it so much. I forgot that we had it, and I like it. Oh, look at that. It's so professional. I like that. I wish, your camera would center better, but, besides that, we're feeling pretty good. All right, buddy. Well, I have an hour and 20-minute drive out to the suburbs to sell some beer today. I love you very much, but I think we need to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it. I'm ready.
I want your 3 bets you're going to do right now. I want your overall who you're going to bet to win. I want your long shot bet to win, and I want your first round leader, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay, we didn't even talk about him, but first round leader, we'll go Victor Hovland. I could see him rocketing up to the top of the leaderboard on Thursday, and then ejecting on Friday. Maybe not missing the cut, but not contending. Kind of like, it was crazy. Echeverria last week started off like 6 under on his first 9, and then shot even for the round. It was kind of fun to watch him just absolutely blow up. So yeah, Vic, first round leader. Foxy has the long shot, 100+ to 1 bet. I think he was at 120 to 1 last I saw. And I'm also going to be betting. I like Colin, but I'm not going to bet him at 22. I'm going to go with a couple of mid-range guys in Mav McNeely, and I'm betting Jake Knapp, man. I know he missed last week, but I think partially because of that, his odds are right there in that same range, around 50 to 1 last I saw. So those are my dues. I'm going kind of midway down. You don't have, I guess Morikawa is probably the safest, most bankable bet up there. And if Siwoo's putter goes, but I love starting with a few of the mid-range guys, working down to some long-range guys, such as Ryan Fox.
I like it. I am probably pushing the button for Colin in my one and done.
Yeah.
He's going to be owned, but I need some money in that account, buddy.
I hear you. I almost went with him last week. It was between him and Rory, and I went with Rory because I need money. And then Rory gave me $0 because he
It hurts.
tweaked his back. But what are you gonna do?
It hurts so good. All right, my friend. Let's get out of here. I'm Johnny Danger. With me, of course, Adam White. We'll be back again, I believe, next week for In the Cup. We will keep this rolling. Please go check out drroto.com. You can use promo code WIN to get 10% off. We're still rolling. We got all the sports. We're still doing all the cheat sheets. We got the Discord, everything you need over there. Please come check us out over there. We'll see you next week, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.